Good morning. It's Monday, July 29th. And I'm going to read something that you might have heard before in 2 Corinthians chapter 12. And it says in verse 7, Paul says to the Corinthians, "And lest I should be exalted above my measure by the abundance of the revelations, a thorn in the flesh was given to me, a messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I be exalted above measure. Concerning this thing, I pleaded with the Lord 3 times that it might depart from me. And he said to me, My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness." And I got to thinking, what is it that knocks you down? Is it pain? Is it anxiety? Is it depression? Is it discouragement? Is it your family? The words of others? I realized that he did not want to focus on exactly what it was as much as the fact that this was another lesson he had learned that God had given him in his weakness. God gives him strength. And in fact, the last verse in that chapter 12, he says, he takes pleasure in the infirmities and reproaches and needs and persecutions and distresses for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. And so, that's a hard one to understand. But so many things I got out of just verse 7. First of all, when you're in the flesh, a thorn in the flesh, I have learned that when you're in your spirit and you're full of joy and you're confident and you're strong and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing when you're in your spirit. So when you're in your flesh, it could be emotional, it could be physical, it could be mental, it could be any of that. And whatever it is, it knocks you over. It makes you weak. And I was thinking about my mom. She's like the toughest person I know on earth, and I'm not being prejudiced, it is the truth. And if you knew her, you would agree with me. But the one thing that seems to knock her down, it takes away her joy, it takes away everything, is her severe back pain. She has osteoporosis, and her back has been broken a couple times, and she walks with an extreme curve, so she can only see the ground when she walks. And she can't hardly do anything. She keeps trying, where a lesser person would not. But she's in so much pain. And I see that is the one thing that knocks her down, is that severe pain, the inability to do the stuff she used to do. For others, it's severe depression. That knocks you down. It makes you weak, or discouragement. Now, Paul said a messenger of Satan came to buffet him. I looked up that word, buffet. Buffet is a French word for lunch. Buffet means to strike repeatedly like waves buffeting the shore. It also is bodily maltreatment and violence. And Paul was exposed to something repeatedly that kind of came in waves. Lots of things come in waves, like pregnancy. When you have the baby, in order to have the baby, you have to have waves of pain and waves of sickness and all that stuff. When you have the flu, you have waves. It's not constant, but it's repeatedly. And it was a messenger of Satan. It wasn't Satan himself. I wondered, why didn't Satan do this? Satan did it, but he sent one of his messengers. A messenger is someone that carries a message for someone. So he had someone carry a message, someone one of his one of his messengers to give this to Paul repeatedly. Maybe he just assigned this to Paul. Maybe God said, Satan, you can't touch him, but maybe one of your messengers can. Whatever it is, God knew about it because God said, no, I'm going to leave you to have this. It made him humble. As he said, because of all the revelations, people would want to exalt Paul. They would want to say, you are the greatest. You are even God, godly. You are almost God, or even God. But in order for Paul to appear human, just like all of us, he was buffeted by Satan's messenger repeatedly. Maybe he would get sick. Maybe he would have waves of back pain himself. Maybe he would have waves of discouragement. Many, many people after him, we know that. So he doesn't want to focus on what it is. He wants us to understand that sometimes God wants us to understand his strength and not ours. Like I say, Mom was the toughest, but we would be looking at her as somebody extraordinary, except now she has this back pain that has changed her life and humbled her, and she has to have others help her. So, we're all human. We all have something that knocks us down occasionally, even repeatedly, off and on. Just when we think we got it made, then boom, something hits us. That's a messenger of Satan saying, you can't do this. You're not good enough. You're not going to be able. They're crazy. Your thoughts are not yours. Those are, he is constantly getting in your head to tell you things. And we have to understand we can rely on God's strength. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to do it ourselves. We can rely on God's strength. All we got to do is ask, let him in, ask Jesus to advocate for us, and just rely on God's strength. Yes, we are human. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, things will happen. But we can rely on God's strength today. So you have a great day, and God bless you.